If someone had told Zara that a time would come when her best friend would be consumed by jealousy and choose to gang up with others to betray her, she wouldn't have believed it. In the bright, bustling village of Umudike, two girls stood out, not because of their beauty, but because of the bond they shared. Zara and Chioma were inseparable. They did everything together, fetching water from the stream at dawn, gathering firewood from the edge of the forest, running errands at the market, and racing each other along the village path just for the joy of seeing who could reach the mango tree first. They were so close that women in the village often shook their heads and whispered, "See those two girls? Twins from the same pod, I tell you. Closer than sisters." Zara, even as a young maiden, had a beauty that made the sun seem shy. Her skin glowed like polished ivory under the morning light, her eyes deep and warm like melted chocolate, and her smile had a softness that could make even the gruffest man in the village soften. Men often came to the compound with palm wine, seeking her hand in marriage. Her father, a proud but kind man, would laugh at their offerings and wave them away. "Wait a little more," he would say with a wide smile, shaking his head. "My daughter isn't ready yet." Chioma would sometimes tease her, nudging Zara with playful annoyance. "See how all the men are fighting to marry you," she would say, rolling her eyes. "Me? I'm just a decoration nobody would even admire." Zara would only laugh, shaking her head gently. "Chioma, stop saying that. Everyone has their time. Your own will come. Don't worry about them now." And Chioma, though she laughed along with her, sometimes felt the tiny prick of envy she could not yet name. But for now, it was only a whisper in the back of her heart, buried under years of laughter and shared secrets. The two girls spent countless afternoons at the stream near the village, their favorite place in the world. The water was cool and clear, tumbling over smooth stones, and when the sun struck it just right, it shimmered like 1,000 tiny diamonds. There they could be free, laughing until their sides ached, daring each other to swim further or dive deeper. "Bet you can't touch that rock," Zara would challenge, her long hair streaming behind her. "Watch me," Chioma would retort, splashing her playfully. The older women in the village would often watch them from afar, smiling knowingly. "See those two," they would say. "By the way they laugh together, no trouble can ever come between them." But as the girls grew out of their teenage, so did the world around them. The drums of the village suddenly beat louder one morning, announcing news that made even the birds hush in curiosity. The town crier, standing atop the central stone, shouted, "Hear, oh! Everyone hear! The prince, son of our great king, is returning from overseas. He comes to choose a wife from among the maidens of the land." The news spread like fire across dry grass. Mothers clutched their daughters' hands, whispering instructions on how to prepare. Young women ran to the stream to wash their skin until it gleamed. Everyone talked at once about the prince, his wealth, and the grandeur of the ceremony. Zara and Chioma laughed and walked together down the village path, their baskets of water balanced carefully on their heads. "Imagine," Chioma said, twirling a strand of hair, "all the excitement. I wonder if he'll notice us." Zara chuckled, teasing lightly. "Don't dream too far ahead. Let's just enjoy the moment." They didn't notice Kamsi approaching, her voice sharp as a cut stone. Everyone in the village knew Kamsi. She was loud, brash, and spoke before thinking. She caught sight of the girls and couldn't resist interjecting. "Why are you two so happy?" Kamsi asked, her grin mocking. Chioma answered innocently, "It's about the prince, the ceremony. I hope he will choose me." She glanced at Zara, her words playful but with a hint of longing. Kamsi laughed, a cruel, piercing sound. "Ha ha ha. Chioma, you're very funny. You really think the prince will even notice you? Have you looked in the mirror lately? Or has following Zara around made you believe you are as beautiful as she is? Honestly, as long as Zara is there, the prince won't even look at any of the rest of us." The words landed like stones in Chioma's heart. She forced a laugh, but inside a seed of doubt, then envy, began to take root. She tried to shake it off, but Kamsi's words followed her like shadows as they continued down the path. That night, lying on her straw mat, Chioma stared at the roof of her hut. She could still hear Kamsi's voice echoing. "As long as Zara is there." For the first time, she compared herself to Zara, not as a friend, not as a sister, but as a rival. The next morning, the village awoke to more whispers about the prince. Chioma avoided Zara during chores, claiming she had things to do, though she had none. She watched Zara from a distance as she laughed with other girls, her beauty catching the attention of passing young men. Every glance, every compliment, felt like a reminder of her own inadequacy. Zara noticed the change. One afternoon, as they gathered firewood, she asked gently, "Chioma, why have you been distant? Did I do something?" Chioma only shook her head and forced a smile. Nothing at all. Don't worry about me." But Zara, whose heart was as gentle as the morning stream, frowned slightly. She had never known her friend to hide her feelings before. Something was not right, though she could not say what. Days passed. The drumbeats announcing the prince's arrival grew louder. Excitement built in the village, but Chioma's joy was tinged with a bitterness she couldn't admit even to herself. She began thinking of ways she, too, could be noticed, even if it meant stepping out of the shadow of the girl she had loved as a sister. And so, the first crack appeared in their friendship, soft at first, like the ripple of water across a still pond, almost invisible. But under the surface, the currents of jealousy had begun to move. "Why does it always have to be Zara?" Chioma whispered to herself. "Why can't it ever be me? Why can't I be the one everyone admires?" Chioma lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint rustle of the wind in the eaves. She could still hear Kamsi's mocking laughter, and though she tried to push it away, it had planted something deep within her. Something dangerous. Something that would soon change everything. The morning sun spilled gold over the village of Yumudike, painting the huts and paths in warm light. Birds chirped busily in the trees, as if nothing in the world could disturb their song. But for Chioma, the world felt strangely heavy. Her laughter no longer came as easily when Zara was near. Every smile Zara offered felt like a gentle reminder that she was the one everyone noticed, the one who caught the attention of the young men, the one the entire village whispered about. Chioma had tried to tell herself it was harmless admiration. After all, Zara was beautiful, kind, and had always been her friend. But the voice of Kamsi's cruelty lingered in her mind like a persistent drum. "As long as Zara is there, the prince won't even look at any of us." She had defended Zara before, scolding the village girls who tried to tease or belittle her because of her beauty, calling her names like water spirit. But now, as she saw the attention Zara received, Chioma's loyalty began to waver. "Why does it always have to be Zara?" she muttered under her breath. "Am I invisible? Am I nothing?" By midday, the other village girls had begun gathering near the stream. They were buzzing with excitement over the prince's impending visit. Some spoke openly of how they hoped to be chosen. Others whispered slyly about who deserved it most. Chioma kept her distance at first, sitting on a stone near the bank, arms crossed, pretending to busy herself with her basket. But the whispers reached her ears nonetheless. "Zara is beautiful," one girl said, her voice dripping with envy. "No one stands a chance beside her. Even the prince will notice her first," another agreed. Chioma clenched her fists and stared into the flowing water. Every compliment felt like a tiny dagger, and she felt herself being drawn into a strange, unsettling world, a world where her admiration for Zara twisted slowly into resentment. The jealousy inside her flickered and danced with each passing remark. She had always been the protective friend, the one who laughed at Kamsi and scolded the other girls for their envy. But now she was tempted. Perhaps it could be her turn to be noticed. Perhaps the prince could look at her for once. Then Kamsi spoke in a conspiratorial tone, covering her mouth. "You know Zara, she'll surely be chosen by the prince. What will we do?" Chioma felt a thrill of nervous excitement run through her. We could stop her from going," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The girls leaned in closer, their eyes glittering with mischief. Then Kamsi said, "You mean push her into the Idemalai River?" one of them asked. Chioma's heart leapt. Idemalai River is a river they have been warned never to venture close to. The water current was very high and strong, and it was said that the angry mermaid queen lived there and could take the life of anyone who falls in. The thought was wicked, dangerous, and yet, part of her felt a strange relief at the idea. If Zara were gone, even for a little while, maybe, just maybe, the prince would notice her. "Tomorrow," Chioma said softly, her voice shaking slightly. "I'll bring her to the river. She won't suspect a thing." A hush fell over the group. It was a plan that carried risk, danger, and the thrill of forbidden adventure. But Chioma felt it burning inside her. Heavy jealousy that had been planted weeks ago, now fanned into a blaze by Campsey's cruel words and the constant reminder of Zara's beauty. That evening, Chioma sat by her window, staring at the stars. Guilt clawed at her chest, whispering in warning. This is wrong. She is your friend. And yet, the jealousy inside her whispered back. But she always shines. Why should it only ever be about her? Isn't it your turn? Her mind raced with justifications. It's not forever, she told herself. Just a little trick. Maybe she'll fall, then survive, and be late, that's all. Then we can all have a chance. Chioma's heart beat faster as she imagined Zara laughing and walking toward the river the next day. The thought of luring her there made her tremble with both fear and excitement. She had never felt so alive and so afraid at the same time. Meanwhile, Zara's life remained blissfully unaware of the tragedy coming her way. She spent her day helping her mother and preparing for the prince's return. Every glance in the mirror reminded her of the admiration of the villagers, but she did not care for attention. Her joy was simple and pure, tied to friendships and family rather than fleeting glances from strangers. The next morning arrived with a heavy, bright sun. The village was alive with preparation for the prince's ceremony. Women brushed their daughters' hair, polished their faces, and whispered encouragements. Girls practiced walking with poise, adjusting their clothes and jewelry, dreaming of the moment when the prince's eyes would fall upon them. Chioma, too, prepared, but her mind was elsewhere. She met Zara near the stream, smiling faintly, and said, "Come with me. I want to show you something by the Idemili River." Zara, trusting and carefree, nodded. "Of course, Chioma. Let's go." As they approached, the other girls hid in the bush. "Here she comes," one of the girls whispered, pointing. Zara and Chioma appeared on the path, laughing as they skipped along. Zara did not notice the other girls hiding behind the tall grass, nor the sly, nervous smiles on their faces. She was completely unaware that Chioma had something dark in mind. "Chioma, we're here," Zara said. "You said you wanted to show me something. What is it?" Chioma forced a bright smile. Yes, come with me. I found a place by the river. It's beautiful." Zara followed without hesitation. She trusted Chioma completely, as she had since they were children. Together, they stepped into the clearing by the river, where the water ran fast and dark, glinting with hints of silver under the sunlight. Birds flew low over the current, and the wind whispered through the trees. The other girls remained hidden, waiting for the moment, their hearts pounding. Chioma's hands trembled slightly as she guided Zara closer to the riverbank. "Look at this view," Chioma said softly, pointing toward the sunlight dancing on the water. "Isn't it wonderful?" Zara gasped in delight. "It's beautiful. I've never seen it like this before." She leaned over the water to touch its surface, and Chioma saw the perfect moment. The plan had been whispered and repeated countless times in hushed tones. A push, and Zara would tumble into the river. The current was strong, wild even, and it would sweep her away, at least long enough to delay her from the ceremony. Chioma's mind screamed warnings, guilt clawing at her throat, but her jealousy had grown too strong to resist. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to act as though nothing were wrong. "Careful," she said, laughing softly, stepping behind Zara. And then, with a sudden motion, she pushed. Zara's body tipped backward with a startled scream, her hands flailing for something to hold on to. The river welcomed her cold embrace, the current wrapping around her like a living thing, pulling her under with shocking strength. Her hair streaming like black silk, and for a moment, she disappeared beneath the surface. "Zara!" Chioma cried, stepping back, heart pounding. Her voice trembled with shock and fear. But the other girls were already cheering quietly, hidden behind the reeds. Zara fought the current, flailing and gasping, her lungs burning as the water rushed past her ears. Every instinct screamed to fight, but the river was stronger, dragging her down into its depths. She thought of Chioma, her best friend, and cried out again, "Chioma, help me!" But Chioma could not move. Her hands hung at her sides, frozen. Guilt and panic swirled together, threatening to crush her. She had wanted attention, she had wanted to shine, and now she had pushed the very girl she loved into danger. The river seemed endless and cold. Zara tried to swim, but the current twisted and pulled her in directions she could not control. Panic rose in her chest, her arms and legs growing heavy. Every moment felt like an eternity, every gasp for air a struggle. And then, when she thought the river would claim her, she felt something soft and strong take hold of her hands, pulling her gently yet firmly, swimming fluidly underwater. The water shimmered with an ethereal glow, a soft light that seemed to hum with life, and suddenly, she wasn't suffocating anymore. Who are you?" Zara gasped, her voice weak, trembling. "I am Mira, Princess of the River," came a calm, melodic voice, echoing in her ears as though carried by the current itself. "Do not fear. You were never meant to be claimed by this river." Zara blinked, staring in shock as glowing hands pulled her swimming into the depths of the water. Her heart pounded, but a sense of awe and wonder replaced her fear. Chioma, standing on the bank, watched from a distance, paralyzed with guilt. She could not see Zara anymore, only the sudden stillness of the river as it swallowed her friend's disappearance. For a long moment, she felt the crushing weight of what she had done. The other girls came out of hiding and praised her for a job well done. Now every one of them stand a chance of being chosen by the prince. Meanwhile, back in the village, Zara's parents were frantic. Nena, her mother, wept openly, wringing her hands, her heart breaking as she searched every path, every field, calling for her daughter. "Zara, where are you, my child? Answer me," her father shouted, worry twisting his voice. Chioma, keeping up her deception, stepped forward. I don't know, Mama. We were together, and she left before me," she said quietly, avoiding eye contact. Her voice trembled, betraying just enough uncertainty to make her lie seem believable. Her heart throbbed painfully. She had pushed her best friend into the river, and now her lie covered the truth like a dark cloak. Under the water, Zara floated gently, surrounded by a soft, shimmering glow. The river princess, Mira, led her to a hidden underwater palace, luminous and alive with strange, iridescent colors. Fish with scales like jewels swam lazily around, and the walls of coral and shells seemed to hum with life. "Rest, child," the princess said, guiding her to a soft bed of moss and pearl. "You were taken from danger because your time has not yet come. The world above would not have been ready for you today. You have a purpose that must be fulfilled." Zara, still trembling, looked around in awe. Her heart pounded, but slowly, she felt the river's magic seep into her, healing the panic and exhaustion from the fall. She realized that somehow, the river had saved her, not just from the water, but from the jealousy and betrayal of someone she loved. I don't understand," Zara whispered, her voice small. "Chioma, why?" The princess did not answer directly. Instead, she placed a glowing hand on Zara's shoulder. "The river protects its own. The path ahead is not for the faint of heart. Trust in the river, and trust in yourself. Tomorrow, the world above will see you as you were meant to be seen." Back in the village, Chioma's heart pounding, guilt eating at her like a hungry dog. She replayed the moment over and over in her mind. She had wanted the prince's attention. She had wanted recognition. But she had lost Zara forever. And she did not yet know that the river would not let this betrayal remain hidden. Tomorrow, everything would begin to change, and the village would soon witness something none of them could have imagined. Over the next hours, the mermaid Mira taught Zara to move with elegance and poise. Every movement, every gesture, every glance was refined to reflect the beauty not just of appearance, but of heart and spirit. "You will not merely walk into the world above," the princess explained. "You will command attention without demanding it, not because of your beauty alone, but because of the light within you." Zara practiced floating to the surface, emerging from the water as if rising naturally from a dream. Her skin glistened like pearls, her hair flowing like dark waves, and her eyes sparkled with a newfound confidence. She began to understand. The river had not only saved her life, it had prepared her to step into a world that had tried to overshadow her. The mermaid princess guided her to the river's edge, where a hidden current connected to the bank the prince often walked along. "Soon you will meet him," Mira said. "But you must emerge on your own terms. The river has given you this moment. Step boldly, and the world above will take notice." Meanwhile, far above, Prince Obina wandered along the riverbank, restless and uneasy. Unlike the village elders, he did not wish to follow the tradition blindly. Choosing a wife through ceremony and display felt hollow to him. He wanted to find someone he admired, someone his heart would beat for. The soft ripple of water caught his attention. He paused, staring at the gentle waves that glittered in the morning sun. Something about the movement seemed alive. His curiosity drew him closer, his steps careful but unhesitant. Unaware, Zara was being guided by the hidden currents just beneath the surface. Mira whispered encouragement as they neared the bank. "Now," she said softly. "It is time." Zara felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration. Her heart pounded in anticipation, yet the river's guidance steadied her. She took a deep breath and swam upward, breaking the surface with the sunlight glinting on her wet hair and radiant skin. The prince froze, his eyes widening in astonishment. There, emerging from the water, was the most beautiful girl he had ever seen. Her skin glistened like sunlight on the river, her hair flowed like dark silk, and her eyes shone with a mixture of strength, innocence, and a quiet power that captivated him instantly. He stepped closer, unsure whether to speak or merely watch. "Your name?" he asked finally, voice husky with awe. "Zara," she replied softly, brushing water from her face, feeling an unspoken connection to the prince as if fate had placed them together. "Zara," he repeated, a smile breaking across his face. "I am Prince Obina. Would you join us at the ceremony tomorrow? I would really love it if came. I want to see you." Zara nodded, feeling a quiet determination. "I will," she said, her voice steady. The prince nodded happily, his chest filled with joy and anticipation. Zara returned to her father's compound, dripping and glistening with river water. Her parents were stunned at the sight of her, fear giving way to joy as they embraced her tightly. "Zara, my child, we thought," her mother began, tears of relief flowing freely. Zara explained only part of the story, asking them to keep it secret until the next day. Chioma, meanwhile, remained unaware that the girl she had betrayed was not only alive, but being prepared to shine brighter than ever before. The day of the prince's ceremony finally arrived. The villagers scurried about in colorful attire, eager to witness the moment when the prince would choose a bride. Chioma and the other girls adjusted their dresses nervously. They had done everything in their power to ensure Zara would never reach this moment. The prince stepped forward, his royal attire gleaming under the morning sun. He surveyed the crowd, but his gaze remained distant, thoughtful. One by one, the young women were presented, stepping forward with smiles, bows, and glances meant to attract his notice. He observed them carefully, his eyes lingering on none for long. Something was missing, he thought. None of them radiated the inner light he had been searching for. Each girl seemed polished, rehearsed, but hollow. The villagers exchanged surprised whispers. Some frowned. The elders muttered disapproval. They had expected an easy selection, perhaps one of the beautiful, flashy girls who had been preparing for several days. But the prince's gaze did not rest on any of them. Finally, he shook his head and stepped back. "None of these," he announced. "None of them can be my wife. I seek someone different." A stunned silence fell over the crowd. Whispers turned into gasps. Chioma's heart raced. She had thought her plan perfect. Zara would be absent, the prince would be forced to choose another, and perhaps, just perhaps, Chioma might be noticed. But the prince had rejected everyone. From the back of the crowd, a soft murmur caught the prince's attention. He turned, and there she was, Zara. Her hair flowed like dark waves glistening in the sunlight, her skin radiant, her presence commanding attention without a single word. She stepped forward slowly, each movement graceful and deliberate, her eyes shining with quiet strength and confidence. The villagers froze. Mouths fell open in astonishment. Some stumbled backward. Chioma's jaw dropped. The girl she had betrayed, The one she had tried to remove from the competition was alive, radiant, and utterly captivating. Zara approached the prince, lifting her face to reveal the full measure of her beauty. The prince stepped forward, awestruck, and took her hands in his. "Zara," he said softly, "you're finally here. Please, will you be my princess?" Zara smiled, a light of relief and quiet triumph in her eyes. "Yes, I am," she replied, "and I accept your proposal." The villagers cheered. Others stared in disbelief. But the prince's eyes never left her face. Zara turned to the king and elders, and with calm authority, recounted what had happened the day she had been pushed into the river. She spoke of Chioma and the other girls who had plotted against her, of the river that had protected her, and of the mermaid princess who had guided her. Gasps and murmurs filled the air. Nena, Zara's mother, wept quietly, relieved that her daughter had returned safely. Zara's father, once worried and fearful, now stood proudly. Chioma's face paled. She opened her mouth, but no words came. The prince, hearing the story, frowned with disapproval. "Betrayal and cruelty cannot go unpunished," he said firmly. "Justice must be done." The king decreed that Chioma and the other girls who had participated in the plot would face punishment. They were made to wear sacks which signified shame and disgrace, and parade the whole village. After that, they and their family were sent away to live in outskirts of the village, isolated and ridiculed. Chioma, now broken and humbled, regretted her action. She realized, too late, that envy and deceit had only brought shame upon her. On the wedding and coronation day, the prince took Zara's hand, a gesture full of reverence and admiration. "From this day forward, you shall be my wife," he announced to the villagers. "Not because of beauty alone, but because of your courage, your heart, and your spirit. You are the one I have been searching for." The crowd erupted into cheers. Zara's parents wept openly, villagers clapped and shouted, and even the elders nodded in approval. Chioma secretly watched from the distance where she hid, tears streaming down her cheeks. She had lost more than the ceremony. She had lost her innocence and the trust of her friend. The villagers would told the story for generations. Of the girl who fell into the forbidden river, was saved by the mermaid princess, and returned to claim her destiny. They would often tell the young ones to remember that jealousy and envy could lead to ruin, but courage, kindness, and faith could change the course of a life forever. Jealousy may destroy, but courage, kindness, and a pure heart always triumph in the end.